right, so I've got a minute past here. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. I'm super excited to get to share the Rocky Mountaineer experience with you. My name is August Bont. I am the sales development manager for Rocky Mountaineer. So I get to represent the company and kind of share the Rocky Mountaineer story. I've been on the sales team since October, but I've been with the company almost 3 years now. I originally started as an onboard host. I worked on our US route that runs between Denver and Moab. I did that for 3 seasons. And right as I finished, we got named the world's best rail experience. So take that as you will. As soon as I left, they got that honor. But I've had a lot of fun, and I really enjoy working for Rocky Mountaineer. So, but who is Rocky Mountaineer? Rocky Mountaineer, we are a daylight only rail experience. We've been in business since 1990, and since 1990, we've hosted 2.5 million people on board our trains. We are not about transportation, we're about seeing these beautiful places in luxury. So we take it nice and easy. We average about 30 miles an hour. We have oversized windows, luxury gourmet food, just world-class service on board. It's all these pieces put together is what makes Rocky Mountaineer special. So more than that, though, we're not just about the rail journey. We are a tour operator. Yes, those tours are centered around our trains, but you generally will book one of our packages that has nights pre and post the rail journey. And so you get to really experience these places that you're traveling to. So as we go through this, there's just a few questions I want you to keep in mind when booking your Rocky Mountaineer journey. These 4 questions you keep in mind, you'll be able to book any one of our packages. So it's which service level do you want to book with us? Which one of our 4 wonderful rail routes? Which one of our packages? And which time of year? So route, service level, package, and time of year. Once you answer those questions, you'll be a Rocky Mountaineer expert and you'll be ready to travel with us. So here is a picture of one of our beautiful gold leaf dome cars. You can see just the oversized windows, the attention that the host is giving to the wonderful scenery. We'll get all into that in just a minute. But really what I wanted to do was kind of walk you through a day in the life of what it's like on board one of our rail routes. So here is a map here of our 4 routes. So we have 4 routes in Western Canada and the 1 route in the US. Now, the best way to read this map is when you look at those dark colored diamonds, that is where our guests would stay 2 nights typically pre and or post the rail journey, getting to experience these places, go out on tours, see the national parks, take a city tour. But the white diamond you see there in the middle, that is going to be where you would stay 1 night overnight in a hotel in between your days on board the train. So there's no sleeping on board the train, no bunk beds, no sleeping berths, no cabins, anything like that. The only reason you maybe want to sleep on the train is maybe you've had an extra glass of wine. You might need to take a quick nap, but I don't recommend that. You're going to miss all the wonderful scenery. So anyway, so that's our 4 routes. I'll get into the specifics of what those routes look like later on in the presentation. But really what I wanted to do is welcome you on board, kind of take you through a day in the life of what this experience looks like. So when you start off the journey, we'll look up there in the top left-hand side. You get checked into our wonderful station. Our team's there to greet you. And you'll get your luggage tags, you'll get your boarding passes, and then the train in Vancouver is sitting just outside of the station that we own. So when you hand over your luggage, it does not go on the train. It actually goes on a motor coach ahead of the train. And so that way there's no kind of luggage racks up above. There's nothing kind of getting in the way of your line of sight. But when you hand your luggage over to us, it is never to be seen again. Just kidding. We're not an airline. So the luggage actually gets transported to your room. So at the end of the night, when you step off the train, your room key is handed to you. You go into your hotel room and the luggage is waiting for you in your room. Really impressive touch that we're able to provide Last year we had 100,000 guests travel with us, and we batted 1,000. Really impressive logistical kind of hurdles that we've been able to work out. Now, once you're on board Rocky Mountaineer, all the food and drink are taken care of for you. There's no bill at the end of the day. There's no gratuities have been included, so there's nothing to worry about. It's just your chance to sit back, relax, and have all the wonderful scenery come to you. And all of our food is locally sourced, so you really get to get a taste of these places you're traveling to. The team on board is just wonderfully talented and caring and energetic, and really want to make sure that they're there to give you the best experience possible. Now, while we're on board, we average like 30, 35 miles an hour. So we take it nice and easy. We want you to be able to experience these places that we're traveling to. And so what's really interesting is the crew are all on radio. And so if someone up above in the rail car ahead of them says that there's a elk on the left, you have tons of time to get the camera ready to pop out to the outdoor viewing platform to get that wonderful picture opportunity. Now, it's not just about seeing these places and tasting the wonderful cuisine of the local area. It's also about learning about these places. The crew on board are just so incredibly knowledgeable. It's like being in a living storybook. It's from the geology to the wildlife to the cowboy stories, the railroad history. You're really fully immersed into the history of the area, and it's not just a history. It's a story of the area, how these places came to be, who lived there, what it was like to live there in the railroad days in the mid to late 1800s, the fur trappers and the gold rush and the Native Americans. You're really learning about the experience of the area that you're traveling in. Now, I've mentioned this already. When you're traveling with us, there's no sleeping on board. You stay in hotels overnight. So there's a shot of our train sitting in Glenwood Springs, our midpoint of the US route. So again, you step off the train, your room key is handed to you. You walk across the streets to Hotel Denver, open the door, what's waiting for you, your luggage. In the morning, you leave your luggage in the room, come strolling over onto the train, grab a cup of coffee, and just have a wonderful morning, and not having to worry about your luggage until it shows up in your room in the next destination. So now that we know what kind of a day on board Rocky Mountaineer looks like, I want to talk you through our different service levels. Now, personally, I don't like to call them service levels. It's more about what environment are you traveling in while you're on board Rocky Mountaineer. The crew are trained to work in both rail cars. And so it's not about the service that you're going to be receiving. It's about the environment that you're traveling in. So there's a picture of our two rail cars service levels that we offer, Gold Leaf and Silver Leaf. So we're going to go into kind of what these experiences look like. So for Gold Leaf, Gold Leaf is our premier level of service. It's the double-decker rail cars. Now, upstairs is where you're going to be spending most of your time. That's where the oversized windows are. That's where your assigned seats are. That's where you're going to be served drinks and snacks throughout the day. That's where the commentary is happening. And it gives you a really great vantage point being up above the scenery, up above the trees, being able to look out across the valleys and see wildlife looking for fish in the stream and flying across the valley. It's really where you're going to be spending most of your time throughout the day. But downstairs is the dining car. So for dining, it's all set up in booths of 4. And that's what I really love about the Rocky Mountaineer experience. It's a very social atmosphere on board. You're getting to meet travelers from across the world. You get to, if you're traveling with friends, you get to connect with them and look at them in the eye and just have wonderful, deep conversations. And as you can see, all the booths are centered up on these huge windows. So you're not going to miss any of the sights as you're dining downstairs. You're not going to miss any of the commentary that's being speakered from downstairs. And with Gold Leaf, there is a full kitchen that this food is being cooked out of. It is gourmet food. It is fine dining. It's multi-course meals, nice leisurely pace. We're not trying to rush you through the cafeteria or push you on to the next course. You get to take your own time and really enjoy the dining experience, getting to taste all of our locally sourced ingredients. Now, what's really interesting about Rocky Mountaineer is we are not classified as a passenger train. We're not classified as freight. We're classified as an excursion train. And that's what allows us to have this wonderful outdoor viewing platform. And so you can go outside, stretch your legs, get some fresh air, get that crisp, cool mountain air. When you go past the waterfalls, you can feel the mist um, uh, on your face as you go past the waterfalls. Now, what's interesting is our engineers who are driving the train, they know that we're a sightseeing train. So, in all the really big highlights, the towering bridges, the waterfalls, the beautiful lakes, they will pull the train down to a crawl. So there's plenty of time to really experience and fully immerse yourself into these sites. Now for going on to Silverleaf. Silverleaf is our single level rail car. So you still have the oversized windows. You still have all the wonderful food and drink being served to you. It's going to be served at the comfort of your seat. Now, Silverleaf is really, I like to compare it to first class in the airline. It's delicious food, it's comfortable seats, plenty of leg room. If you look at where this gentleman's knees are on the lower center side of the picture and where the seat is in front of him, if you were to pull that tray table up when they're not meal service, there's enough room for his wife to move out into the aisle without him needing to get up. So tons of leg room, tons of space. Um, uh, it's just going to be that single level rail car. As well, the outdoor viewing platform is going to be a little bit smaller, but there's enough time to share the space while you're out there. So there's enough room for 4 people in the Silverleaf outdoor viewing area, and for Goldleaf, and there's enough room for 15 people in the outdoor viewing area. Now, on our US routes, this is a little bit silly, but we do not have enough room in our tunnels for those double-decker Goldleaf cars. So our premier level of service in the US is called Silverleaf Plus. Now, I like to compare that to maybe booking Economy Plus in an airline in the sense that Silverleaf Plus, Economy Plus is all about space. It's going to be a similar service, but you're really purchasing the space. So when you purchase Silverleaf Plus, you get access to the lounge car. And we have 2 lounge cars. One was done into more modern contemporary style silvers and grays. You can see on the top right-hand side. Then the other lounge car was done into a more retro 1950s kind of historic rail style of wood paneling and soft plush lounge seats. You have access to both bars. The bar menu is going to be the same, but it's just going to be kind of what environment, again, it all goes back to that environment. What environments do you want to travel in? Oh, there's also a player piano. You can impress all your friends with the player piano there. I don't know how to play piano. All right, so going into a little bit more depth on our rail routes. So the red route you see there on the bottom, that is our most iconic flagship route, First Passage to the West. The one in the middle is my personal favorite, Journey Through the Clouds. That's the blue line. And then the green line on the West Coast is called Rainforest to Gold Rush. So we'll go into some depth here about what those routes look like. Now, First Passage to the West, that's our flagship, most iconic route that we've been running since 1990. That has all these huge postcard picture highlights, the lakes, the rivers, the waterfalls, the wonderful bridges, the engineering marvels, right? So you get to go past the Fraser Valley, the Fraser River, see the salmon run, go through the spiral tunnels as you make your way into Banff. Now, the overnight here is in Kamloops. A lot of people ask me, August, what's waiting for me in Kamloops? The answer is your pillow. You've just had a 9 or 10 hour day on board the train. You are wiped. You are just stuffed full of delicious food and drink, and you're ready for a restful night's sleep before getting back on board the train the next day. If you are a little bit have a little bit energy, you need to blow off. There's a nice little downtown bar area, some shops and restaurants. And the left hand side of the picture, you can see a little park. In the summer, they have outdoor concerts every single night in the summer. So there's still enough to do. You can go down the river walk, but most people are ready for a restful night's sleep before getting back on board the train the next day. The next day, as you head in towards Lake Louise and Banff, this is where you get to go into the heart of the Rocky Mountains, see Castle Mountain, the spiral tunnels, the wonderful snow-capped peaks and glaciers kind of tucked into the crevices. It's really just breathtaking when you get to put that seat into a little bit of recline, look up into the windows and see these mountains 1,500 feet above you is just absolutely breathtaking. Now, off the train, as I mentioned, we offer packages, and most of our guests book one of those maybe 6 or 8 day packages is pretty standard. We partner with these luxury properties off the train too, the mainly Fairmont properties, so Jasper Park Lodge, Fairmont Banff Springs, the beautiful Lake Louise that you see sitting right here. These are the kinds of properties that you'll be staying in off the train. Journey Through the Clouds is my personal favorite route up in Canada. And that's because you get to go to more remote areas as you travel further north up into the British Columbia wilderness, up into Alberta. There's fewer people up there, and so you get a much better sense of just the Canadian wilderness. These untouched landscapes are absolutely incredible. That's what really gets me about traveling on Journey Through the Clouds is getting to go to these untouched places that are only accessible by train. And then as well, once you get to Jasper, you can go out on these national park tours, go take a tour across Moline Lake, see Spirit Islands. It's just all these add-ons you can make to really make it a complete package is what makes these journeys special. Now, our western route, Rainforest to Gold Rush, is our most ecologically diverse route. Starting from the coastal rainforest from Vancouver to Whistler, you get a half day in Whistler to go explore the town, see the old Olympic Village, see the ski town. It's really a nice experience getting to get off the train and stretch the legs a bit for the afternoon. Then you get to go through the kind of semi-arid sagebrush desert on the interior British Columbia before getting over to finishing into Jasper. Now, I've been talking for a few minutes, so I think it means a little bit more to see a video of what this experience looks like. There's just all these pieces put together, the food, the drink, the socialization, the scenery, the storytelling. It's all this put together is really what makes Rocky Mountaineer special. So that's kind of an idea what our routes look like in Canada. To talk about our newest addition to the Rocky Mountaineer lineup, this was started in 2021. I was there from day one. It was really special getting to build this product. And like I said, as soon as I left, the onboard team came over to sales. That's when Rocky Mountaineer got the our Rockies to Red Rocks got the accolade as world's best rail experience. So take that as what you will. As soon as I left, they got the accolade. But anyway, one other note here as we keep going. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll answer those at the end of the presentation. So what really separates our US route from Canada is that in Canada, the scenery changes based on your distance from the coast because the moisture level changes, you rise up into the Rocky Mountains. That's what changes the environment that you're traveling in. In the US, our scenery changes based on the elevation. So you start in the Great Plains in Denver, immediately jump into the Rocky Mountains. They climb 4,000 feet up to the ski resort of Winter Park. That's within the first 2 hours of the journey. and then you get to go out through the Red Rock desert landscapes onto Moab. As you leave Denver, like I said, you climb 4,000 feet up to the ski resorts of Winter Park. Into Glenwood, we take in 8 different canyons, each one unique from the last. So here's a little sampling of what some of those canyons look like. The beautiful Byers Canyon, onto the Red Rocks of Burns Canyon, finishing off into Glenwood Canyon and Glenwood Springs by the end of the day. Now, Glenwood Springs is just this quintessential little Colorado mountain town. It's got hot springs and bars and cowboy history, Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp, Kid Curry. These are all some of the cowboy names you might learn about while you're traveling on board. Usually going westbound, we're into Glenwood by about 5 p.m. So there's enough time to go to the hot springs that close at 9 p.m. There's enough time to go get a bite to eat in the evening, kind of take in that wonderful mountain air before continuing on the next day. The next day is what I always like to affectionately refer to as cowboy country. These beautiful, wide open western landscapes, the red rocks and the desert and the beautiful desert varnish on the cliff sides. You get to go through the wine country of Palisade and Grand Junction. On board, a little anecdote here that I like to share is I mentioned that a lot of our food is locally sourced. Now you can see on the left-hand side as we go through Palisade, we go through the vineyard that we get our wine from. It's called Colteris. And there's one trip I was working on board where our guests were having a pretty good time, and we were close to running out of wine. And so we called ahead to Colteris and said, "Hey, we're going to be there in an hour. What can you do for us?" They said, "We got you." So we pulled the train up, stopped the train. Their winemakers walked across that gravel there with a couple cases of wine for us. We loaded them on board, and we were off and running. 2 minutes later, the guests were none the wiser. So, yes, locally sourced ingredients is good for the local economy. It's good for fresh, delicious food, but it also allows us to pivot on a dime when we need to make these last-minute changes and additions to our services. So it was kind of a fun little experience getting to stop the train in the vineyard for a couple minutes as we loaded some extra wine on board. Now, what I love about this picture here is take a look around, right? Yes, you're going into the desert red rock landscape as you head out to Utah. This is right at the Colorado-Utah state line. But when you look around, you see that there are no roads, no trails. This is really indicative of what the Rocky Mountaineer experience looks like. Getting to take our guest places that are only accessible by train is really what makes this experience special. Now, when you get to Moab, it's a very outdoorsy, adventurous place. We've got great tour partners that will take you on half-day national park tours, take you over the slick rocks in a Hummer. Maybe if you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, you can go onto a river rafting tour, or you can go skydiving or mountain biking or hiking or whatever it is. Our tour partners have really crafted some amazing packages around what our guests want, and we're really proud to partner with Moab Adventure Centers. Now, these packages, as I mentioned, it's not just about booking the 2 or 3 day rail experience. It's about really building an entire package around the Rocky Mountaineer experience. So having days pre and post rail allow you to go out on the glaciers in Canada, take the boat tours out on Malign Lake, take the gondola up to the top of Sulphur Mountain above Banff, having a guided mountain bike trip out in Moab, right? These packages are really why it's a great, important to work with a travel agent and Global Connections. They've been wonderful partners for us over the years because their agents are able to really curate the package around what your preferences are. And it's to no extra charge to you to have an expert to build these packages around what you want. Now, as an idea of what one of these packages might look like, this is probably one of our most popular standard packages that we offer. It's called First Pass to the West Classic, or Excursion, Excursion. So it'd be 2 nights Vancouver, 1 night Kamloops, 2 nights Banff, and then finish out to 1 night Calgary. So on your free day in Vancouver and on your free day in Banff, that's where you can add on these tours to the national parks, to the city tours, maybe go out over to Victoria Island, see the Fraser Swing Bridge. Right, these are some experiences you can add on to these packages, or if you just want to do some exploring on your own, that's obviously up to your preferences. And then if all of this interests you and you'd love to connect some of our routes, and we call these circle journeys, so you can add in any two of our three routes together in Canada to make a wonderful, maybe 9 to 14 day long package, kind of depending on what you're looking for. And then in the US, what one of these packages might look like. This is my personal favorite. We have a tour add-on that goes out to Las Vegas. So after your Rocky Mountaineer, before or after your Rocky Mountaineer experience, you can go westbound or eastbound. You can do a 2-day guided tour out to the national parks. So this is going to be on a Sprinter van with 15 seats, but a maximum of 8 people. And so you have a guided trip through Capitol Reef National Park. You stay overnight in a hotel at Bryce Canyon. And then you finish the trip through Zion and then out to Las Vegas. So another great tour add-on package for Rockies to Red Rocks. Now, the last question to answer. So we've talked about the service level, the routes, the packages. And now the last question to answer is what time of year do you want to travel? Now, you'll see 3 pictures up there, not 4. And that's because we only operate from April to October. In the winter, the issue is not the weather, the issue is the daylight. We just don't have enough time in the day to make sure our guests get to see the wonderful scenery. So April to October is our season. In the spring, what you're going to get is the animals coming out from hibernation. Everything's starting to bloom. As the snow melts, the rivers are just rushing like crazy. In the summer, you get long, warm days to really let you lengthen out your tour experience. And then in the fall is my personal favorite. You get some of the dustings of snow on the mountains, that crispness in the air, the changing leaves. Animals are foraging, getting ready for the long winter ahead. Now, if you would like to have that winter experience, if you go in the first couple weeks of the season and the last couple weeks of the season, there's a decent chance it will be snowing. And while you're on board with that heated seat and gold leaf, that warm, that hot cup of coffee in your hand, maybe there's something in it. I won't judge. It's like just being in a living snow globe. It's really beautiful with those oversized windows. Now to finish up here, I've been talking for quite a few minutes, and I think it means a little bit more to hear from some guests about what the experience is like instead of just some salesmen. So here's a little interview of what some guests think of the Rocky Mountaineer experience.
Okay, describe to me the experience of the Rocky Mountaineer.
Gosh. It's hard to describe the feeling aboard Canada's Rocky Mountain. Experience it for yourself. Visit RockyMountaineer.com.
So with that, like you can see, there's really no one way to describe the Rocky Mountaineer experience. It's not the food, it's not the drink, it's not the world-class service. By the end of the 2 days, the crew have really built a relationship with their guests. And so you get people who hugs and handshakes and crying as they're leaving with the Rocky Mountaineer experience. So it's all these pieces put together is what makes Rocky Mountaineer special. So with that, when you're thinking about booking Rocky Mountaineer, please go to Global Connections. Their team is incredible. They've really been wonderful partners for us over the years. The package prices are the same to work with them, and so you might as well have an expert on your side to make sure they curate the perfect experience for what you're looking for. So With that, thank you so much, and I'll pull up the chat and start answering some questions here.